On the morning of the 3rd of June 1998, a German family was enjoying their train journey with a cup of coffee. This high-speed train was traveling from Munich to Hamburg. It was 10:30 in the morning, and everything seemed normal. But just 12 minutes later, the family was terrified when suddenly a piece of steel tore through the fluoride between their seats. This was only the beginning of the deadliest accident in German high-speed train history. Welcome back to another video from Think and Grow with Hamden. In the late 1950s, Japan stunned the world when it unveiled the Shinkansen, better known as the bullet train, the world's first truly high-speed rail system. It connected major cities across the country, shrinking long travel times. Dramatic journeys that once took hours suddenly took only minutes. After Japan's success, France and Italy began building their own high-speed networks. Soon, Germany entered the race with its flagship project, the ICE, Intercity Express. When these trains finally launched in the 1980s, people believed rail travel had entered a new era. The ICE trains had everything sleek: aerodynamic bodies, advanced computer systems, and extremely comfortable interiors. It felt like a flawless system. But even the most perfect engineering hides a flaw, and the weak spot of the ICE trains was their wheels. The first generation of ICE trains used monoblock wheels, each wheel made from a single solid steel piece. They were strong, balanced, and costly. However, after a few years, passengers began reporting unusual shaking at high speeds. In the buffet coach, plates, spoons, and glasses would constantly rattle because of these vibrations, making travel uncomfortable. Investigations revealed the problem was hidden inside the wheels. Even though monoblock wheels are solid and balanced, a tiny 5-gram imbalance on one side can create vibrations at high rotation speeds. That's exactly what happened. At TG speeds, friction caused uneven wear, making one side of the wheel slightly heavier. At slow speeds, it wasn't noticeable, but at 250 kilometers per hour, that imbalance sent vibrations through the entire train. This is a common problem in any wheel. Even car tires become unbalanced if repairs add extra weight on one side. The solution is simple wheel balancing. But balancing a giant, one-piece steel wheel is extremely difficult, and replacing the whole wheel is expensive. So German engineers proposed an alternative: resilient wheels. These wheels were not a single solid piece. They had an inner steel ring and an outer steel ring separated by a thick rubber layer designed to absorb vibrations. Only the outer ring needed replacement, making maintenance cheaper. German trams were already using resilient wheels. But trams travel at 30 kilometers per hour, while ICE trains operate at 250 kilometers per hour. The difference was massive, yet it was overlooked. Executives approved the design without thorough long-distance testing. And by 1992, all ICE trains had the new wheels. For a few years, everything appeared normal. But in 1997, the Hanover Tram Company USTRA discovered cracks in their resilient wheels. They replaced their parts and alerted Deutsche Bahn, Germany's national railway operator. Since ICE trains weren't showing vibration issues at the time, the warning was brushed aside. 1 year later, 13 de June 1998, everything changed. At 10:30 a.m., ICE train 884 left Hanover heading toward Hamburg. It consisted of 14 coaches, 2 power cars, and 12 passenger coaches with 287 passengers and 8 crew members on board. Inside coach 1, George Dittman sat with his family. Everything seemed routine until suddenly something slammed against the floor. Moments later, a jagged steel fragment punched through the cabin floor, right between 2 seats. It was a broken piece of the wheel. George panicked. Had it pierced the floor just a few centimeters differently, his family might have been killed. He rushed them into the next coach for safety, then went looking for the conductor. The conductor was in coach 3. George described the incident. The company rules said he couldn't stop the train unless he personally inspected the problem. Together, they hurried back toward coach 1. The train was still racing at 200 kilometers per hour, and the vibrations were growing stronger. By the time they reached coach 1, the train had already traveled another 3 kilometers and was approaching a dangerous section of track where the rails split. The broken wheel fragment was still attached under the train, scraping along the rails. When the train reached the first switching point, the metal piece struck the mechanism and forced the track to change position. This caused a catastrophic chain reaction. The first two coaches continued on one track. The third coach, however, was suddenly diverted onto another. The train twisted violently. Coach 3 smashed into the foundation pillar of a bridge. The impact shattered half of the bridge. Coach 4 managed to avoid the falling debris but crashed into an embankment, killing 3 maintenance workers on the ground. Coaches 5 and 6 were buried under 300 tons of collapsing concrete, crushed so completely that their height was reduced to only about 6 inches. The remaining coaches 7 through 10 crashed into each other at full speed, folding like paper. Only the first 2 coaches where George and his family sat remained intact. The front locomotive rolled nearly 3 kilometers ahead before finally stopping. The engineers and driver felt the shock from the bridge collapse but had no idea about the devastation unfolding behind them. The accident occurred near a small town called Eschede. When residents heard the explosion-like noise, they ran toward the railway. What they witnessed was horrifying. Shattered train cars, twisted steel, smoke, and passengers crying for help. Some people were trapped under the wreckage. Others were stuck inside their seats. The pressure-sealed windows were so strong that breaking them was nearly impossible. Heavy machinery had to be brought in and event in. The first victims were reached only after hours. More than 1,000 rescue workers arrived. Paramedics, military medical teams, and over 40 doctors who happened to be attending a medical conference nearby. But the scale of the tragedy was already overwhelming. A total of 101 people died. 88 were severely injured, and nearly 100 sustained minor injuries. Those seated in the first 2 coaches survived purely by luck. Germany's pride, its high-speed rail system, was shaken to the core. The Eschede tragedy terrified not only Germans, but also France, Italy, and Japan, whose rail networks relied on high speeds and absolute safety. Investigators first suspected a car on the track, but after finding the broken wheel segment in Coach 1, the truth became clear. Maintenance records showed that the same wheel had been reported for flat spots 8 different times, yet never replaced. Germany had machines capable of detecting cracks, but inspections were still performed manually with a flashlight because the company claimed the machines produced false alarms. In 1992, the Fraunhofer Research Institute had warned that resilient wheels posed risks for high-speed trains. In 1997, Eschede repeated the warning. Both alerts were ignored. Experts later explained that the wheels rotated 500,000 times per day at high speed. Every rotation slightly compressed and expanded the steel, slowly creating microscopic cracks. The rubber layer absorbed the vibration, masking the signs of failure until it was too late. And on the 3rd of June 1998, a single cracked wheel triggered the deadliest high-speed train accident in history. After the Eschede disaster, all high-speed trains switched back to monoblock wheels, and bridge designs near track switching areas were completely re-engineered to prevent similar tragedies. Germany overhauled its entire rail safety system. Pressure-proof windows were replaced with breakable emergency windows to ensure faster passenger rescue during accidents. Today, the Eschede tragedy is a core case study in German railway training academies. Monoblock wheels may cost more and require extra maintenance time, but they rarely crack end. When they do develop issues, vibrations provide early warning signs. We hope you found this video from Think and Grow with Hamden informative. Thank you for your support and encouraging comments. See you in the next fascinating video.